So I'm finished with my my PCP visit. Got them to write scripts for the Miralax to Express Scripts and the Cromlin to Express Scripts. Discussed steps for hypoglycemic and making sure that I carry turbinado sugar with me at all times in small amounts, and that if I tolerate it, should just try to take some daily. What said something about the glucometer meter that attaches to the arm, and the doctor was like worried about your reaction, and I'm like, I had processed some of that, but I hadn't really processed all of that when I was speaking about it, so it makes perfect sense. Talked about possibly canceling the allergist appointment and waiting until I'm more stable and better health at U of M, Ann Arbor, because it's an overnight trip, and last time I went I threw up my tube, and that's not okay. I'm going to get my surgical tube placed January 8th, could schedule it after January 8th, so that I make sure that if I have any issues, at least I wouldn't be throwing up my tube. I discussed that I had an appointment at the residency clinic in Ann Arbor, and how they are willing to coordinate with me in my current PCP, so my PCP would not be them, but I want to go in fully prepared and eyes wide open that they could insist that they be my PCP, which could put a damper on things. Worked real hard to get into Dr. Snyder and want to keep Dr. Snyder because Dr. Snyder actually listens. Not sure what this guy is going to do. It is a man doctor, AMAB. So we'll see how it goes. But that is the 19th. On the 18th, I have my neurology appointment, and on the 17th, I have my cardiology appointment. So the doctor was like, don't really want to prescribe Reglan or Midodrine for you because those are cardiology things and you should see a cardiologist, which I was fully aware. And then talked about there's a pharmacy on Plainfield that sometimes has medication that they overstock, and sometimes there is knockoff Miralax there, but I'm going to try to get it covered from Express Scripts because it's a long-term one. Also Protonix, one of them I'm not supposed to crush. There's a liquid form, and going to try to get Express Scripts to cover that. So it was basically everything in the appointment went well, and they said I could just speak with Jessica, the nurse, there after hospitalization, so in case I'm not doing well enough to go out and about, but I am doing well enough to stay out of the hospital, that's great. And they also are like, yeah, we don't want you to go into the hospital all the time and have to do IV hydration. And I'm like, that's the whole point of me going to the U of M doctor residency clinic, to get them to write for IV hydration and for a PICC line or a central line, so that I could do home infusions so I don't have to go to the ER. So like things are in process. They're like, I wish we could get you in sooner than March, because with Northwestern, because they're not seeing you, and they weren't seeing me till June, and then it got moved up to March. March 4th is my appointment with Harold Butte. He has a 5.0 rating, so like he's got a great rating. He also has some videos on social media from Northwestern. He seems like an awesome guy, but I know sticking with U of M Ann Arbor is, for GI in particular, is not going to be my safe spot. So just wanted to give an update. Also, I had a driver pick me up this morning from Lyft because was going to use regular bus, but had to go to CareLink, and it was harder to go to CareLink just through the bus and then from CareLink to the hospital, which I did do CareLink to the hospital on the Silver Line, which is a quicker bus. but the driver didn't pull in my driveway. And I'm like, I have mobility issues. There was nobody in our driveway. So it wasn't like our driveway was blocked with 8 or 9 cars, because it's a really long driveway. But I don't think 8 or 9 cars, maybe like 4 cars could fit comfortably, or three if one of them's a large SUV kind of thing. But he had me walk out to the street, and I was like, that put me at a safety risk, especially because of my mobility issues. That wasn't okay. And so I reported it to Lyft, and they're like, seems like they took proper things against the other Lyft driver. You seem like you're too busy to respond right now. And I was like, yeah, I was at a doctor's appointment, but I did respond to the new guy who responded to me and asked me if everything is okay. And I said, new driver, great so far. And I'm like, I'm in my I don't give a F part of my life. Like, I used to people please. I used to be like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. When it actually is. My comfort and safety matter just like everybody else's. And me making myself smaller only hurts me. It doesn't hurt anybody else. So if you do bad things, and you don't want consequences, don't do bad things. You do good things, you get good consequences. Because the consequences are positive, neutral, or negative. But there are consequences to every action. Even choosing not to act is still a choice, and there is still positive, negative, and neutral consequences attached to that. So, but my kids have PT, so I'm going home to make my formula so that I have some formula, and then getting picked up in about 15 minutes by the medical Lyft drivers through basically Medicaid to go to PT at Mary Free Bed. So it's been a day. But I was able to get safely to my appointment, saw Dr. Snyder, who I am transitioning my kids to, and then going over to U of M. They referred me to a U of M sleep doctor, because I'm like, I'm not interested in going back to Metro. I'm not calling at U of M Health West, because it's just an administrative only, and they don't treat you properly. They don't treat you the way you should be treated. And when the doctor was like, sleep apnea can mimic narcolepsy. And I'm like, not the cataplexy part. I'll buy. But I have cataplexy. Now I know the words and how to describe. It is like your whole entire life, everybody has spoke Japanese to you. And you don't have the codex. You don't have the ability to understand the Japanese. And then you wake up one day and you are given the codex and you understand Japanese, and now everything makes sense. That is where I am. Everything is making sense. So given the term cataplexy, when I've seen more than 30 doctors and nobody has ever put it together, I am learning there is a sleep wake me and a awake sleep me. Because when right now I'm currently awake, I'm not fully awake because of the narcolepsy. Just like when I am asleep and get woke up, I'm not fully asleep. So, yeah.